Namaste, Vanakkam, Mani. Welcome to the AIWA channel, Astro in Abu Dhabi. It's nice to have you here. As a moderator for Astro in Abu Dhabi on TikTok, I think this is a beautiful platform to have our listeners go back and to have a point of reference for such beautiful questions that they ask. And I know we've done the last podcast on what is Ram. And, you know,
I have more questions.
you have more questions, and
I have,
there's never,
yes.
you can never end, you can never end the session. There's no end to Ram. So it's like a a crime for me to end Ram because Ram can never be ended. You understand? But nevertheless, this is also for me, it's a fact and also my devotion that's speaking. So let's go. Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for your presence here. I highly appreciate it. Let's go with your question. What is your question?
Okay, so again, thank you for having me. Yes, the last discussion was on Ram, but there's also other key words that you use. You talk
Oh, we're
about
back at
Shiva.
we're back at the words. Okay, Shiva. Yeah, go on.
Yes. Shiva.
Shiva.
What is Shiva? Your Om Namah Shivaya. What is
Mm.
Shiva?
Okay, so you're asking me this question based on my awareness. Yeah.
Yes. On your
Okay.
awareness, it's a word you've mentioned a number of times in your lives.
All right.
So this would be a perfect opportunity for
Beautiful.
you to unpack it for
Beautiful.
the listeners.
Beautiful. 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 Okay. Right. Beautiful question. I love it, and this is the whole reasoning why we are doing these podcasts, so that we can answer these kind of questions. And I'm absolutely delighted to answer Shiva. What is my experience of Shiva? Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. The explanation or the science behind it, and then the feeling that you get from this, or the state of consciousness. Let's understand that Shiva means that which is not. Shiva, all that is and that which is not. Now, this might not make sense to you, and it's okay. But after a considerable period of time getting involved in the chanting of Shiva or meditation of Shiva, you would understand that Shiva is all that is and all that is not. Shiva is all that is not. All that is not. The dissolution of the mind, the death of the mind, the death of the ego. And once the mind is not active, I'd like to describe it as a thoughtless thought, a mind that is still, a mind that is neither positive nor negative, a state of consciousness where there's absolute nothingness. A state of consciousness that is lateral, or longitudinal. And if I have to look at energy, energy is always moving from left to right. Hertz. Shiva is beyond that. Shiva is beyond the material dimension of electricity. Everything comes from Shiva and goes back to Shiva. Shiva is the source from which everything emanates from. And Shiva is that which everything goes back into, the absolute nothingness. It's a state of consciousness. Shivaya. So I'm always saying Namah Shivaya. So let's explain what Shivaya means. Shivaya. There's no difference from Shivaya to Shiva. However, when I say Shivaya, I feel that my state of consciousness from nothingness goes into, from a state of peace and nothingness goes towards something absolutely powerful. So for me, it's two different dimensions, from a state of consciousness, from a state of experience. If I say Om Namah Shivaya, I'm in a state of peace, but there's also some Shakti or energy that I feel. When I say Om Namah Shiva, Om Namah Shiva, I reach quicker to nothingness. I dissolve the mind quicker. What is Namah Shivaya? Namah Shivaya is the five elements: the fire, the air, space, the earth, and water. The dissolving of the five elements. Shiva is beyond the five elements. And Om, it's not Om. How everybody pronounces it is different, but how it should be pronounced is Om. Om. Sometimes it's like that. Sometimes in very deep meditation, it's basically just Ah. Ah is the creation. U is the preservation, and M is the destruction or the destroying of the ego. I'd like to describe it if you are saying the R is extended if you want to create something, and from your experience, and the U is you want to preserve this. I'm getting a bit deep, right? And fundamentally, is becoming one with, or the sound, the transcendental sound of everything that is. So Namah Shivaya. So is the transcendental vibration of this universe. What is this universe? For me, this universe is basically everything that is happening within me. My concern is not what's happening up in the skies. This universe is what's happening within me from a state of consciousness. What's happening within this universe over a considerable period of time. There's no effort to chant Am. Am is happening all the time. Whether I'm eating, walking, I'm doing readings. A lot of times, even when I'm sleeping, it's an unconscious happening. Because it's done consciously over a considerable period of time, is the vibration within me. Shri Ram Namah, Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya. This is happening all the time. As a consequence of this here, my mind is not active. Namah Shivaya. It is helping me to dissolve the mind so that I'm not thinking about anything. Why? Because in fact, all of us are suffering our thoughts only. What are we suffering? We are all suffering our thoughts. So Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya means the dissolution of the mind, the dissolution of the thoughts, the death of the mind. When there's nothing troubling the mind, what is troubling you? Nothing.
Nothing.
If you're attached to nothing, what can harm you?
Nothing.
So be attached to Shiva. Yeah, I hope I can once again, I can go and explain Shiva from my awareness. And there's more to it. This is not the end all and be all. My explanation of Shiva, maybe from a year from now, might be something different. But based on my current state of consciousness, which I don't know at what level it is, I'm giving you off my explanation. So, Om Namah Shivaya, Jai Shri Ram. Thank you for such a question. Look after yourself and thank you for your time on the channel. Goodbye.
Om Namah Shivaya, Abi. Thank you so much again for this beautiful explanation. And I'm most grateful to
Thank you.
having had this opportunity to hear you explain it. Um, Om Namah Shivaya is very close to my heart
Om Namah Shivaya.
for a number of reasons, which I won't go into right now. So thank you so much.
Awesome stuff. This is for all the
Yeah.
listeners out there. Om Namah Shivaya. Today, tomorrow, and the days in between, and the time in between. Thank you. Om Namah Shivaya. Jai Shri
Om
Ram.
Namah
Bye-bye.
Shivaya. Jai Shri Ram. Bye bye.